Hello, today I'm going to tell you about how the Claydon farm is earning around 100,000 a year from putting 270 hectares of the farm into the SFI program for SFI 2024. We've been accepted for it and we're going to go through all of the details with you now. I'm here today just to talk to you about SFI and the Claydon drill and how you can actually make some significant funding for your business using SFI going forwards. We all know at the current time that farmers are really under the cosh from the current government with massive reductions in BPS payments and also really harsh introductions of taxes for inheritance tax as well. So I'm not going to loom on all of that. I'm going to talk about the positive stuff, which is SFI 2024 and the fact that the Claydon farm has been accepted into SFI 2024 on a number of schemes. And I'll take you around the farm, I'll give you a tour, show you exactly what we're putting in, what we're making the money on SFI and still practically farming our farm with using our equipment. And I'll give you a quick brief run through of our machines as well. For any of you that don't know me, my name's Spencer Claydon. I'm Commercial Director for Claydon Seed Drills, fourth generation farmer on our family farm here in Suffolk and a partner in E.T. Claydon & Sons Farming Partnership. So to talk you around our machine, this is a trailed version of our machine. We do mounted versions as well. We work from 3 meters all the way up to 8 meters. This machine has got fertilizer going down the leading tine here. There was a grant which was out called the Farming Equipment Technology Fund where you could get up to £40,000 or £40,800 towards a drill that had grain and fertilizer application. Our drills applied for that. Many customers received that Farming Equipment Technology Fund for that, which is fantastic. And we were also told by DEFRA if the machines were accepted for the Farming Equipment Technology Fund payment, they'd also be accepted as a means of putting the crops in for SFI and receiving the payment of £73 per hectare for establishing your crops with SFI. Now the benefit with this is you can not only put fertilizer down with this leading point, but you can also put a bean down there. And we'll go around and we'll show you the crops where we've put beans down with our crops, with our catch crops, with our cover crops, and also with our winter crops that we've established this year as well. The idea of putting a bean down there is that you can actually have a companion to the wheat crop or indeed the covers, which actually fixes nitrogen in the soil, and we'll show you the nodules and everything on those roots as well. We then have our seeding tine, and the seed is injected down the back here. So the crop that we're trying to plant, for instance, a wheat crop, would come through here and be spread across the width of the A blade, and the bean would be underneath it, perfectly placed for the establishment of the bean at around 4 to 6 inches deep in the ground, sort of 10 to 15 centimetres deep in the ground. This machine features stone protection, so if you're on a stony farm, then you can have this and benefit from the stone protection. We do also do it with a cheaper shear bolt option for the cost saving side for the farmer. We have front cutting discs on the machine, so if you're drilling into a cover crop or a catch crop, which you'll be able to see all around the farm when we go on the tour in a little bit, and this cuts through that trash and then allows the leading tine to flow through it, and then the A blade flows through the soil, which is lifted from the seeding from the leading tine there, and the seed is then injected behind that in a band. We then cover it in at the back with a paddle, and you can see that the tines are staggered to allow maximum clearance through the frame of the drill. The paddles at the back here then just push the soil back over the top of where the tines have been, and we do have an applicator which can be fitted in addition, where you can then apply an additional seed down here. So if you wanted to do a bicrop using our drill, you get £55 per hectare for the bicrop, so either putting the bean down or, for instance, putting something like clover down off the rear paddles here, you can then put that in and have a band of seed that you're growing and then a band of clover sitting between those rows. So our machine is fantastic and optimal for this SFI payment because you can chase the combine out of the field with the tractor and plant your catch crop. You can then desiccate your catch crop and drill in a winter cover crop very quickly and easily with our drill. You're able to use a straw harrow in front of the drill because it has a rearward facing tine, and then drill the crop directly into the stubble using our drill as well, or into the cover crop or catch crop using our drill as well. So you'd get £73 per hectare for drilling directly in with our drill. You'd get £55 per hectare for putting a companion crop in there. You'd get £120 for a winter cover crop, and for a summer catch crop around, I think it's currently £163 per hectare. So all of this is the current situation. It may change. I do put a disclaimer against the bottom there that we're not guaranteeing any of this and such like, but these are what is available to you, and you can stack those payments and you can get up to around about nearly £400 a hectare using our drill to go straight in and put it into the ground. Let's go around the farm and have a little look at what we've been doing here. When it comes to cover crops, the government is happy to pay you to put in a summer cover crop, which is an SOH2, which pays out £163 per hectare. They will also pay you to put in a winter cover crop, which is an CSAM2, which they'll pay out around £120 a hectare for. So our drill is perfect to go into the field and to chase the combine out and plant that summer catch crop, which pays out very, very well. And realistically, you don't want to have a system where you've got to cultivate and do a lot of operations prior to the drilling. You really need to get in there because time is of the essence to plant that cover crop and to get it away. So we've used multi-species cover crops, and we've also put a bean down with the leading tine, and you can see the bean that we've put in with the leading tine here has actually outlasted some of the varieties which were killed off with the frosts that we've had this autumn. So we're now left with the beans and a couple of varieties of the cover crop left there, and you'll be able to see as well we've managed to get an amount of grass weed growing and everything as well, so we can control that prior to the crop going in. And we've managed to fix rather a lot of nitrogen with the nodules which are growing away on our bean roots here. And it's thought that there's around about 30 to, I believe in some French studies, up to 100 kilos per hectare of nitrogen fixing capabilities by planting beans as a legume crop and overwintering them. So this should reduce our need for chemical fertilizer products. We're relatively new to doing this, so we're testing it all out and we'll see what the results are. They aren't our figures, but they're figures that I've sort of heard of bandied around in the press and everything. But of course we can get paid for putting the catch crop in, then desiccating it, then putting the winter cover crop in. So you can stack those two payments with your spring cropping in the rotation. On our farm here, we're growing wheat and spring oats, as we no longer have the free crop rule. We used to do oilseed rape, but oilseed rape has been very problematic for all farmers since the removal of neonicotinoids. Next, we'll go and have a little look at some of the crops that we've put in as winter crops. This is our first wheat, and this entire block up here is all first wheat with the Claydon drill, and we've drilled it with the bean down the leading tine, so we're getting the companion crop payment for that at £55 per hectare, and we're also drilling it direct with our drill, and we're getting the £73 per hectare for that. And as I said before, DEFRA had told us that if the drills have been accepted for the Farming Equipment Technology Fund, which our drills have, then there should be no problem with them receiving the £73 per hectare for the direct drilling payment. And you'll be able to see now that we've got the beans growing in the rows, which will be fixing nitrogen there. The wheat are growing around it, and if I dig up, you can see the soil is in lovely condition, roots are running through. Ooh. Lots of earthworm activity. Our fields typically have around about 3 to 5 times the earthworms of a average field here in the UK, and you can see there's no compaction issues, more wormholes down here as we get deeper, and I'll just dig out one of these beans, which I say will be fixing nitrogen in the soil there, along with the wheat crop. So again, hopefully we can reduce down the amount of nitrogen that we're using, and we'll be able to claim £55 a hectare for putting the bean in with the wheat. We don't have to take the beans to harvest. They will probably be taken out with a broadleaf weed killer later in the year, and the wheat should benefit from the companion of that being there and being direct drilled £73 per hectare. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is a field of ours that we've drilled. It's a second wheat, and it's drilled with SOH1, which is the direct drilling payment of £73 per hectare, and it's also drilled with a companion crop, which is CIP M3. You can see in the field here the crop's established very, very well. If you look down, you can see just how many earthworm casts there are here. It's absolutely full of worm activity, and the worms are taking in last year's straw and drawing that down into the ground. Those worms are like 1 million free workers on the farm who aren't burning any diesel and are creating very good soil organic matter. Our soil organic matter content on this farm has increased by probably around about 3% since we've been using the drill, in terms of 3 percentage points more than what we were previously. And every percent of organic matter can store up to around about 250,000 more litres per hectare of water. So again, for soil runoff, for water holding capacity, the reduction of flooding and water going into the waterways too quickly, increasing that organic matter is really paramount. So there are so many benefits to the system, not just saving time, money and the environment. Again, we've put those beans in down the leading tine with a separate hopper on the drill, and we've then placed the wheat up above that. So the bean is down at the perfect depth. They do look a little bit sick because of some of the chemical sprays that we've actually put onto the crop, but they are there and they are putting nitrogen back into the soil. Again, if I dig down, you can see just how nice condition the soil is in, and this is drilled directly in with the Claydon drill and straight into that stubble. Earthworm casts all around, and again that companion bean there, right down there nice and deep, and that will start fixing nitrogen and feeding the wheat crop through the year. Again, we won't take the beans to harvest. They'll end up being taken out by a broadleaf weed killer at some point during the year, and we will end up with just the wheat crop that goes to harvest. We have some reasonable hopes for this field. Our average yield on the farm is 10 tonnes per hectare for wheat, and we are slightly lower than that with oilseed rape, which used to be about 4 or 5 and in more recent years has gone down, hence why it's no longer in the rotation. Our spring oats are typically around about 6 or 7 tonnes per hectare as well, and they will then follow in after the catch crops or winter cover crops that we've got in that we showed you earlier. We are not advisors here. I do stress that. We're just showing you what we're doing on our farm. So any customers that are using our drills currently, or people that are looking to get down and start buying our drills and get into our system, you can see what the possibilities are here to earn money from SFI using the Claydon system. And as I said at the beginning of the video, we're able to earn around £100,000 a year from around about 270 hectares that we're putting in to SFI 2024 for a 3-year contract, and that really is replacing the basic payment scheme, which they've now reduced down to 7,500, no matter how much ground you're farming. Of course, I completely appreciate this doesn't always work for everybody on every farm, and some people will have rotations and such like, but if you're able to put your potatoes on a wider rotation or your maize on a wider rotation and direct drill for 3 years on the same fields with SOH1 and the companion crops and such like, and are able to do the catch crops and cover crops and everything as well, then you have a very good earning capacity from the SFI campaign. So thank you very much for your time. Please like the video and share with your friends, and let's get as many people as possible taking up the SFI scheme. Thank you. Goodbye.